Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check it out. We got Swift, R3, Jerome Powell from the Fed, and they're all coming out and telling us there's going to be some changes real soon. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.12 trillion market cap for crypto. We're off by 2.4%. Right now, Bitcoin, 23,400. Ethereum, just over $1,600. Tether market cap, $70.7 billion, they're saying right now. And XRP is coming in at 38 cents. Market slumping a little as we go into the weekend, but the news isn't. And let me tell you what else isn't. It's linked to. And they got a special going on right now with pricing. You need to check it out. Don't mess around. They do not do this very often. Check out the minimums. I'm telling you right now, this is remarkable, ladies and gentlemen. Ripple, Polysign, Link to. But can I remind you very quickly, Polysign, Jack McDonald, what they're doing, Arthur Brito, David Schwartz, co-creator of the XRP Ledger, working on Atomic Net over there, settlement. It's enormous. It is bigger than the DTCC, the way they built the model of what they're serving, and they are serving the globe. And I tell you, to say it could scale into the trillions is actually not saying it. It's bigger than that, believe it or not. Make sure you click the link and check it out. We love Link to. Eleanor Tarrant says right here, SBF. Oh, gosh, if there's anybody you wouldn't want to be this morning. SBF's new indictments adds 4 more counts against him, which means he now has a total of 12, and that's an additional potential 40 years in prison on top of the 115 he could serve for the first 8. Eek is right. I'm telling you. Yike, caramba. Boy, do we got some good news now. We're going to get into it right here. By the way, I want to let you guys know, I sat down and had the pleasure to talk with Thania Sharmani from Winston Swan, who actually submitted amicus brief as a friend to the court in the SEC versus Ripple, and we talk about it. You're going to want to know about that. We talk about whether the case could go to the Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to hear every second of that interview. We also talk about the good work that's being done on her behalf, Winston Strawn and Thania Sharmani, on behalf of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Shout out to Perry Ann Boring and everything they're doing in the SEC versus Wahi case as well. You're going to want every single bit of that. I tell you, we all have to unite. We're stronger together, ladies and gentlemen. And look, there's a lot of changes coming. Right here, you're going to hear from Swift and R3 discussing what's coming in the manner of more fluid cross-border payments, and we got so much more. Take a listen.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm conscious. I'm looking at the stream here, and there are loads of questions coming in. So I'm going to ask you one last one from me, Ricardo, and then we're going to go to the stream's questions. So quick fire one. Over the next few years, what do you think like the top 3 sort of transformational use cases for blockchain will be?
Ooh, okay. Well, it'll have to be in capital markets, payments, and identity. So, let me just give you a quick view of what that means. So in capital markets, the continued digitization of all assets and asset classes, I think is really exciting. So, the digitization of property and cars and what have you, and then the ability to trade those things in primary, secondary, and even tertiary marketplaces. I think that's going to be cool. Money. So the movement of money moving from lumpy to liquid. So, today money is very lumpy, right? You get paid every month or every couple of weeks. Why don't you get paid every second?
Right.
And we move money cross-border, but we don't send emails cross-border. Of course, governance and legislation is different on money versus data, but still, I think that certainly we'll see a shift of money being more fluid. And then on identity, if we consider what's happening with Web3, the promise of bring your identity to the internet and the identity is yours, sovereign identity is something that I think we still need to solve. been talking about it for a very long time, but hopefully now is the time to get it right.
Absolutely. And there's more. Let's take a listen now to this. And shout out to Mr. Mann for these clips.
In financial services. There's a lot going on in settlement and in wholesale markets more broadly. Can you tell us a bit about that and a bit about how you're involved in it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd suggest to you, Nick, that wholesale settlement using digital currency, CBDCs and stablecoins is arguably one of the most exciting use cases because it makes sense. Right. So, others you kind of look at and you squint and you really try hard to, and we're still trying to find the other use case, predominantly in the retail space, but in the wholesale space, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. I'm just going to point to a key project in the capital markets. There's a couple of them, but DTCC just recently in the last several weeks announced their project ION moving from T2 to T1. I mean, that's just enormous, Nick. The amount of efficiency that we'll gain moving from T2 to T1. And it's obviously not just the DTCC, of course. It's the entire ecosystem around the DTCC that needs to shift from a T2 to a T1. But what are you going to see there? So you're going to see, a hell of a lot more efficiency around liquidity management. You're going to see a hell of a lot more efficiency around operations. You're going to get closer to kind of real-time settlement, which, of course, is a very exciting kind of, goal as we edge towards kind of, T0. Now, I'm not ever want to get truly to T0. You might want to get to T0 minus a few seconds because of the netting issue. So, we've got to solve netting. But, in the capital markets, certainly settlement, reducing settlement windows, reducing counterparty risk, increasing liquidity efficiency are just some of the kind of key opportunities that we see there. In wholesale settlement, so I'll point to a couple of projects, Project Jura in particular.
Oh, yes.
That's now nearly a year old. Gosh, I can't believe how quickly 2022.
It's flown, right?
Jura is such a great project. The SNB, the Swiss National Bank, and the BDF, the French Central Bank, issuing their own sovereign CBDC into their own networks, and then have.
I tell you, there's a lot of information that's starting to come out that we have been following, seeing PDF reports, highlight this, highlight that. I love this moment because this moment is really what we're witnessing is a rollout, right? We're witnessing a rollout of this technology, and certainly at the wholesale back end, which is where I feel it will take place first before really feeling it on the consumer side. Now, speaking of that, here's Jerome Powell right here talking about a dollar CBDC, and we need to ensure privacy. I like that kind of talk. Be verifiable, be identity verifiable, be intermediated, needs to be seemingly transferable between customers, different intermediaries. In any case, digital innovation in the financial sector is here to stay. Absolutely it is. Listen to Jerome and his thoughts here.
Potential sources of risk. So with this question, and well, of course, this provides plenty of room to elaborate. Let me start with you, Jay. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Agustin. Thanks for bringing us together, and hello to my colleagues. It's nice to see everyone. So as you pointed out, there is no question that we are in a time of rapid technological change in the financial sector, especially in payments. And as is often the case at times like this, there's a mixture of innovations that will have lasting and perhaps salutary effects, and those that will turn out to be mostly hype. And it's never possible in real time to be sure which is which. More fundamentally, innovation is the key to driving productivity in the economy, and the Fed has long supported responsible innovation. Novel technologies like distributed ledger and decentralized finance have the potential to increase the efficiency of the payment system and encourage a more competitive financial landscape. So the direction of travel is encouraging, and the future we can now imagine is one featuring ubiquitous real-time payments delivered at extremely low cost. It's also easy, however, to see the risks. Our existing regulatory frameworks were not built with a digital world in mind. stablecoins, central bank digital currencies, and digital finance more generally will require changes to existing laws and regulation, or even entirely new rules and frameworks under the principle of same activity, same regulation. From a consumer protection standpoint, users may not fully understand the extent of their potential losses, or that these investments generally lack the government protections that accompany many of the traditional financial instruments and services that they're used to. There also are potential financial stability concerns for some products. In particular, we don't know how some digital products will behave in times of market stress, which could lead to large destabilizing flows, nor do we know how stresses in crypto markets could potentially spill over into the traditional financial system. Moreover, crypto assets have been used in some cases to facilitate illicit activity, and we need to prevent this so that the innovations that do survive and that do attract broad adoption are those that provide value over time for legal use cases. All of these innovations have made central bankers think critically about the intersection of money, payments, and technology, and about the role of central banks in the economy. And that is why we at the Fed recently issued a discussion paper on the future of money and payments. The paper is intended to be a first step in fostering a broad and transparent public dialogue about the future of money, and we look forward to receiving ideas and comments from a wide array of stakeholders about what the future of the financial system should look like. As the paper notes, we are actively examining potential use cases, benefits, costs, etc., risks of a central bank digital currency. And while we haven't made any decisions over whether we will eventually issue a dollar CBDC or what the underlying technological design of one would be, we did outline 4 key principles that are currently guiding our thinking. The first is that a CBDC will need to ensure users' privacy. So we're researching technological and policy options for a robust privacy framework. At the same time, a CBDC would need to be identity verifiable in order to prevent money laundering, terrorist financing, and other illicit activity, just as banks and other financial institutions currently comply with such rules. We also foresee a CBDC in the United States being intermediated so that it can leverage the private sector's ability to innovate as well as the private sector's existing privacy, identity management, and AML frameworks. An intermediated CBDC would also lessen financial stability risks that could arise from disintermediation of private sector providers, where financial services also provided by the government. Fourth, and finally, a CBDC would need to be able to serve as a widely accessible means of payment for all transactions, meaning it would need to be seamlessly transferable and between customers of different intermediaries. In any case, digital innovation in the financial sector is here to stay, and we are clearly only at the beginning of this journey. Thanks.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And for somebody who keeps saying, if we decide to do these, look, I'm speculating, right? But there's no if at my house. This is happening, right? To me, it is intentional that they do it last because they are the world's largest economy. And I think they are waiting for everyone else to get to a certain place of implementation for their central bank digital currencies, and then the U.S. will introduce theirs. That's how I believe this goes. And I am speculating, obviously. All right, now let's take a look at this. This is from Black Swan Capital. A shout out to them, sitting down with executive wealth manager Clive Thompson, who happens to say that he believes the new financial system is being built on Ripple and other blockchain technologies, which goes hand in hand with the fact that we know that Ripple is working with the Fed and the U.S. Faster Payments Council. We know that Ripple is also on the Digital Dollar Project with Chris Giancarlo. They're on the Digital Euro Foundation. They're on the Digital Pound Foundation. I mean, the list goes on, right? So this is getting quite interesting. Take a listen to what Clive says here, and shout out to Black Swan Capitalist.
The governments are anxious to try and keep control of their financial system, but they won't be able to stop these things existing. And I guess the aim of the government is to stop any competitor to the central bank digital currency occurring, but it doesn't mean to say that these things won't exist and that they won't have value. They will have value and they will exist. They probably just won't be used or necessarily be used in the same way that the central bank digital currency used on a day-to-day basis. But it's entirely possible that many of these new digital currencies around the world will run on the technologies produced by companies like Ripple and others. The governments are...
Wow. What does Clive know? Because I tell you, I happen to feel compelled to that too. That's why I'm in this space, right? It's why I'm a shareholder of Ripple. It's why I hold XRP. I believe ultimately they will be used in this system. And shout out to Black Swan Capitalists for that great interview right there. I got to check out the whole thing. All right, look, let's take a look at this now because we all like to know what's going on with price. We go to Ed Grad Crypto this morning. He says XRP fly or dive in July 2023. Showing here average sentiment oscillator here is showing A, depth of the market volatility, B, strength and weakness of the trend, C, indicates market trends, and D, level of stability to project possible trends of price movement. So you get to see an image of that here. I love all these different ways that they have a chance to analyze what's taking place here with these metrics and these charting tools. And here we could see, I guess this will be the July time frame where we would want to pay attention if we see this kind of a cross and whether we get a fly or dive. Yeah, that's the thing I like, is that most of the technical analysts that I cover here will show you both sides of the equation, not just the up. We look at the up and the down because that's the risk for all of us in this space, no doubt about it. Then there's more here that shows an assumption triangle and formation, rhyming the alligator jaw. It says, I like to call ASO start closing. When the pinkish line crosses the light blue line, XRP will have a major pump. Be careful with those rockets. The judge has ruled that those rockets could mean some kind of financial advice signal. So I guess all slot machines will have to be removed. I guess we'll have to have anyone who has a logo with a rocket in it will have to be removed. This is just getting ridiculous. This is the United States of America, and I think it's insulting to the citizens of the globe, to be perfectly honest, to assume that they do not have a mind of their own. That is for certain. But nonetheless, that was a recent judgment. I haven't showed you the tweet, but a recent judge has said that rocket emojis could constitute financial advice. Oh, it's an insult. It really is. But nevertheless, are we allowed to be bullish? What about rocket emojis with a question mark? What about rocket emojis that are pointed downward? Is that negative financial advice? I don't know. What a laughable world this has become. But I tell you what, this chart's not laughable. I think it's something we should really pay attention to for the up and the down, because none of us know what is going to happen. However, I found this to be interesting. This chart here showing the RSI layout. If we get the green dot and the cross here between the blue and red line, it could take us to 589. $5.89. Well, the community would lose their mind if that actually happened, wouldn't they? Shout out to Ed Grad Crypto and everybody else that we've covered today. Not financial advice from me, them, or anyone else. I will catch all of you on the next one.